something,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think it was something that was really important to us. This was our second book. I think our first book, we really were, walking into this industry, and learning all about it, and learning that publishing is, it's corporate America. So like, if you are, writing a book, there's still going to be ideas about, okay, like how trying to like, wait a minute, like what's happening in these conversations with the publisher, having to find ways to push back and still create the book that we wanted to create. This book, we really came into it, and we actually let the publisher know that we were going to write a book completely from a Black perspective, and that we weren't going to consider the white gaze. And that was really important for us.
And that's something you explicitly
we
said.
did. We did. And it was important for us to say it. It was important for them to know it. It was important for us because our publisher, Penguin Random House, is the biggest publisher in the world. But it's also where Toni Morrison, worked, right? She was all about, like, I will not allow the white gaze into my work. So we felt a responsibility, and that's not easy. It really is something that I think we talk about a lot, that you don't even realize how much you live with the white gaze every single day as a Black person. So you also have to challenge yourself.
That's right.
When you're writing something, and maybe when we're having conversations with our publishing team and they are wanting us to explain something and go like, oh no, we're not going to do that. We actually are not. We're not going to do like the explaining, like we're not going to be the magical Black person in this scenario. If you want to learn more, we have, Brian's done a great job of a bibliography in the back, like there's things, you can read it, So that was intentional. And I think that for us, we love that this book does speak to our community. That doesn't mean that it separates or divides in any way. And I think that what's one of the things that's happened that really surprised us is we've talked to people from other communities that said, man, when I read this book, I was enlightened. It made me think differently. It made me look at the world in a different way. I was challenged, and I didn't expect that. One, because it's a design book, and, I just didn't expect that I would, open this book up and all of this history would be here. I think it's also been helpful. We've heard from folks in our industry, which is like most industries in America, a white-dominated industry, to think about what design is, and that design, for all of us, design is a cultural artifact. Every culture has design. If we are only looking at design through a Eurocentric lens, then we are all, putting ourselves in a box. We are all limiting ourselves, and we are not finding out about all of these amazing cultures and this incredible diversity in our world. So to become a better designer, you should also be thinking from a diverse lens. That should be, the standard should be diversity. That shouldn't be this extra thing that we have to put on top.
It's like the basic work.
Yes, I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah. And most people say that, look,
I'm
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm just really happy you said that. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
But like I went to Parsons School of Design for their interior design program, and I was basically like the only Black person in my classes, and a lot of the designs that I was creating, it was like for Black families and Black family homes, and having to constantly explain like the importance of like certain fabrics, certain symbols, certain items being in the home, or the home being structured a certain kind of way, was like really frustrating. And also I kind of felt like I had to like explain myself or over explain myself.
It's exhausting.
And also like prove that what I was doing was like worthy of the design space. And that was a long time ago, because I know I don't look it, but I'm an old lady. But either way, so I just feel like part of what excites me about your book is that for people like me, like for Black folks who want to be interior designers, set decorators, set designers, work in like home decor, like this is like an actual tangible thing that they can hold on to and feel affirmed by it. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's pretty powerful, because even I think I told you on our Zoom call that there was a young person in here who wants to be an interior designer, and she got so excited when she saw your book. Like I saw her eyes just like burst open. So there's like an extra layer to it outside of it being like a significant thing for like the Black family, it's also something for like younger people who are really interested in being a part of this industry, but they don't see themselves in it. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Just so you know, I mean, so that's the experience that we still have. We go on to speak at different schools, and we've spoken with the Black students there. We've done talks with the Black students there, and we still hear the same things. You know, my experience isn't being counted. We spoke with one student who came from a part of the South where they had railroad houses, and so that was the type of design he was doing. And that was the type of architecture he was interested in pursuing, and he was constantly being told that's not real architecture.
Right.
And so one of the opportunities we're taking with this book, especially when we're having, you know, conversations within the design industry, is to say, look, when you really think about it, which we encourage everyone to do, design is diverse by nature, because the world is diverse by nature, and because every culture has design. So we have to stop letting the conversation be framed in this way of the work of diversity, as if it's this extra add-on that we have to do. That's not the work. The work goes into excluding everyone else, so that there's only this one little narrow lens that we look at as being acceptable, as being real, as being normal, ultimately. And so when you start to flip that and say, well, look, all of this is design. Why are you squeezing it all down into this one place? So then now it's not about doing the extra work of diversity. It's about not doing the work of exclusion. So now you get to actually reduce. You get to relax. It's don't try so hard to keep everybody out. You know, and then it's this. You start to lose these metaphors like having a seat at the table. As in, like, there's this one place up on the mountaintop that you have to get to prove.
Yes.
And I mean, I know you understand this as an interior designer, and as an interior designer, this idea that we have in so many things that there's one spot for a Black person to be the Black interior designer, to be the Black actor, Black singer, Black whatever, because we've only got so many spots. So our job becomes to tear each other apart so that we can get that one spot, as opposed to helping each other, coming together, working as a community. So a lot of that is what we want to bring to this book, and we love every time we hear from people that they feel that it was written for them, because it was written for you, and it was only with your mind. The white gaze actually only features in this book. I'm gonna say it very, very briefly. The white gaze only features in this book insofar as we internalize it as a community, and so that was why it was important to us to be able to start, as I said, picking at the seams of these things. We want people to be able to begin to see the outlines of not only the box that we're in, but the many layers that go into it. When we talk about things like the myth of bootstrapping, the myth of happenstance, we talk about these ideas of the ways in which things come together, like with this idea that things that just are the way that they are. And what we wanted to show is how there are these, what we call overlapping spheres of oppression that create a sense of plausible deniability for each other, right? So if you want to wonder why there's so little Black homeownership, people will say, well, Black people don't make as much. They don't have the same kind of jobs. We're ignoring the fact that even when Black people do have good jobs, and the white people who have those same jobs, regardless of qualification, are being paid more. We know there's a wage gap, but we don't talk about it. We just say, well, that's why they're not there. We know there's an inheritance gap. We know that homeownership is a huge part of inheritance, but we say they're not there. We go, well, they're not as educated and they don't work as hard. But there are so many studies from different economists, and you will find some of them in that bibliography in the back of the book, particularly William Darity Jr. and Derek Hamilton in particular. Janelle Jones, another economist that we've worked with. And there are plenty of Black economists out there who've been talking about this problem. And one of the things that they say in this one study called Umbrellas Don't Make It Rain is that the myth that education and hard work are the only barriers to closing the wealth gap between Black and Latinos in this country is completely false. But because so much of that gap is made up of inherited wealth, generational wealth, which we know largely rests on home ownership, land ownership, and the different opportunities that builds up. But so when we start talking about the Black family home as this missing character from the narrative of American history, it was also important to us to start saying, well, why is that? It's not just for the sake of the story. It's so that there are real, actual, tangible economic effects, things that change the life chances of Black people in this country based on the presence or absence of this part of the story. And so that, to the extent that there is a white gaze, it's less of a white gaze and more of a gaze at whiteness.
Yeah.
To say that these are the things that we need to be aware of as a community, so that we can start to make positive action around them.